Welcome to the Style Edit. We are bringing you into the home office and into our design room and sharing a little bit of fun fashion with you today.
We want to get you guys excited for the next season, which is fantastic.
So excited to share that with you. So come along for a ride and have some fun.
We all love fashion so much, and who loves a backstory better than me?
Nobody.
No one.
I promise you. But you know, we're all in the fashion business, so I think it is important to know a little bit of fashion history.
Gives you a little fashion credibility.
So Beck and I thought, how cool would it be to share some deep dives into some of our favorite fashion subjects?
Pants and pockets.
So check it out. Welcome to Her Story of Pants. In the early 1700s, Lady Montague Wortley traveled the world and was a true trailblazer. She was a noted documentarian who studied the daily life in the Middle East. And what she observed was women in the Middle East could roam freely alone in the evening. They could also get divorced. This was in the 1700s, that's crazy. And they could wear pants whenever they liked. Women in the British Empire had no such rights. In the Victorian era, we saw a trend called rational dress movement. Pants for practical things like horseback riding or riding a bicycle or even playing tennis. One of the things that women fought for during this time was to wear undergarments that weighed only 7 pounds. Because believe it or not, the average weight of undergarments in the Victorian era was 14 pounds. Can you imagine? In the 1860s, we saw women adopting pants during the Civil War, when the country was so divided. They were not divided, however, about women wearing pants. Both sides adopted that trend. During World War I, we saw women adopting pants again because all of the men had left to go and fight the war. So the women were left home to take care of business. And so societal norms relaxed around women wearing pants. I think perhaps this happened because the men weren't around to complain. We owe gratitude to the style maven Coco Chanel for her adoption of knits into her collection. Prior to Coco, knits were used strictly for sporting attire, like bathing garments. When she brought knitwear into her collection, she reinvented women's fashion, actually creating what's known today as sportswear. On May 28th in 1923 in the United States, the Attorney General Henry Doherty declared that it was actually legal for women to wear pants anywhere and everywhere that they wanted in the US. This was a long time coming. In 1938, Helen Hulick had to show up to court because there was a dispute in her housing complex. Well, she showed up in pants and the judge berated her for her attire. He said, "Come back to court when you have on a dress and proper attire." She actually showed back up to her court date 2 more times wearing pants and got thrown into jail for 5 days. Eventually, the case was thrown out because the judge was so out of line. And when she finally came to court to clear the charge, she showed up in a dress. I really respect her use of fashion for a protest. In 1938, we saw a woman wearing slacks for the very first time in Vogue magazine. From 1938 to 1945, during World War II, women definitely picked up the slack while the men were off fighting war. Again, women were doing all the jobs that men did, so pants became the norm. And actually, society really truly accepted this for the first time. Although in Vogue magazine, they did say, wear your pants in the day for practical purposes, and don't be a slacker and wear slacks in the evening. In the 50s, we saw the men returning from war and women returning to wearing dresses. However, when they did wear pants, there was a whole new look to it. They were slimmer, higher in the rise, and sleeker than ever. In the 60s, the pants women wore were sporty and sexy. This was a sign of the times. Women started wearing miniskirts and showing more of their figures than ever before. In the 70s, we saw an entirely new shape of pants for women, and denim became one of the most coveted fabrications. Fashion imagery became prevalent during this time thanks to TV and new media. It made it much more accessible to all kinds of people, and we could emulate the looks that we saw. So these trends of these flared legs and low-rise 70s pants, they spread like wildfire. Oh boy, Here comes the 80s when acid wash was introduced. But you know what? We fought for the right to wear stirrup pants, so we need to own it. Thank goodness, pants are now legitimate fashion. It wasn't until 1993 that women senators were allowed to wear pants on the Senate floor. We wanted to acknowledge the amazing history and the long-fought battle to own what we wear, when we want, no holds barred. So if someone asks you who wears the pants in your family, feel free to say, I do.
Welcome to Pocket Topic.
It has pockets. Pockets.
Pockets have been around for centuries. In medieval times, both men and women used to wear pockets tied around their waists on a string or a belt of some kind. Things seem pretty fair in the gender pocket ratio at this time. So as clothing got more elaborate, it was sort of awkward to have a pocket tied around your waist. So at this time, people were wearing pockets under their garments proper and on top of their petticoat, which is worn underneath. Your bountiful skirt would have little slits in it for you to put your hands in, and then you could access your pocket bags that were underneath. And these pocket bags were actually a pretty good size. This picture here is an example of how someone wore their pocket bags on top of their underclothing, and then they would put their proper skirt on over top of this. You think I wear a lot of layers? Oh my gosh, you should have seen the layering back in the medieval times. Pockets were of a really quite generous size then. You might want to carry like things that you would sew with, like a needle, thread, a pin cushion, a sewing machine. I'm just kidding, they didn't have sewing machines. But you could carry a lot of stuff in there, including grooming items and perhaps snacks. So usually men and women had pockets sewn on the outside of their garments now. Now is when the garments are starting to become attached to the pocket. And for some reason, this stuck around for men, but not for women. Part of the reason why men kept their pockets and women started to lose them on their clothing is because of the French Revolution. Thank you, Revolution, and losing of all things fancy and ornamental. So we started to have much more simple dressing, and this is when the empire style of dressing comes into the foreground, and you cannot fit anything under this. So there's no pockets on top, because that would look funny, or underneath the garment, because things are made of muslin at this time, and it's such a filmy, fine, beautiful fabrication that women started carrying these things called a reticule. So reticule, it's so small and ridiculous. So women went from being able to carry numerous things in her pockets to like a coin and maybe a needle and thread in her reticule. And it was thought also, oh, what do you need to carry for, we've got men for that. They've got their 24 pockets, so they can carry it for you. In 1954, designer Christian Dior said, men have pockets to keep things in, women have pockets for decoration. So that gives you sort of a glimpse into the way in which male designers were sort of thinking about the way in which women might need pockets in their clothing. Sir, you are wrong. So obviously we women are always going to find ways to carry all our stuff. So, the handbag revolution was born, and, not to say we haven't embraced that, and I love my bag. However, it splits focus. You're always like, where's my bag? Did you know at the turn of the century, a men's suit had 18 to 24 pockets? Can you imagine? So all of this to say, we on the design team are committed to looking for ways in which we can bring back pockets and make bigger pockets. Bring back pockets.
It has pockets. Pockets.
Hi. Okay, we're serious now.
Okay. Well, we hope you enjoyed that. You got a little bit of fashion history. All right, so throughout COVID, we have pretty much owned the building. People have started to come back recently, but there's still days where, it's pretty much just the design team here in the home office.
We sort of wanted to give you an idea of what it's like around the office when, we have it all to ourselves. There's never a dull moment.
I can't be serious. You'll see what we mean. Just roll the video. Okay, well, you got to see some of this spring collection mixed back to fall on our amazing friends all around the home office. How cool. We cannot wait for you to see the whole spring collection in January.
We're so excited to see you in San Diego, so we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.